a lot of water at the bottom of this pot. You remember how we talked about compressing the bottom of the pot so that it dries at an equal rate as the walls. If we were to leave the water in there, it would totally defeat the purpose and you would still develop that S-crack. So take a sponge or a sponge on a stick. You're just going to collect all that water out of there. Clean up that rim if you mess it up. If this was something we were going to drink out of, we would really need to address this lip so that we don't have anything sharp or anything too thick. Some people use synthetic chamois or a real piece of leather. Just kind of nice strip, get it wet. All you do is drape it over the top. You apply minimal to no pressure and just let the clay kind of go through it, and it will just nicely take off any edge. If you're for some reason in a real pinch and you've lost your chamois in the slop bucket or something like that, I've used newspaper, the strips of newspaper. They disintegrate pretty fast, but if needed. So we'll see that at the bottom of the pot here we have a bit of a skirt of clay. We can take that off with two different kinds of tools. This wooden tool here or one of these metal, very sharp tools. I tend to use this. I find that it's quicker and much more effective, but I have definitely used this. I'll show you this for right now. What we're attempting to do is slim this bottom down here, get rid of this extra clay here, and create a bevel. The bevel is going to allow the wire tool to cut this pot off to easily, basically it makes a guide for the wire tool to go through so you don't go crazy and cut the bottom of your pot off. Working with your left hand inside of the pot and your tool working parallel, to the pot actually is the path of least resistance. If you were to cut perpendicular to your pot, if you had a very delicate pot, it could snag and actually torque your pot. This way, you only have a very small sliver of tool to actually go against the clay. Just going to start about up here. Work your way all the way to the back. And now you have this extra clay here. Just take a piece off, get it spinning, and take away the excess. If you fussed up the bottom of this here, it's not as straight or curved as you'd like, you can go back and address it here. And then you'll want to create a bit of a bevel. Just holding it right at 3 o'clock perpendicular to the pot. Just go into the bottom there. A good 1/4 of an inch or so. To wire a piece off, you need to hold your wire tool like you're going to choke something, but very tight. And you do that with my thumbs. You're going to hold it all the way to the bat. Now, if you don't hold it tight, it will tend to arc up like this and actually cut through the bottom of your pot. Not good. So make sure you hold it very tight. You're going to work from away from you and then pull it straight through towards you. At this point, we have a choice. We can leave this on the bat to dry, or if we have multiple pieces in a small space to store things, we can take it off the bat and store it on a wear board. I'm going to show you how to take it actually off the bat. You need to have very clean, dry hands. So take a moment to dry off your hands. If your hands are wet, you'll slip, the pot will mush, and all sorts of bad things will happen. So dry off your hands. Now, you're simply going to cup it. But I want to point out a little tip. is where your wire tool enters on this side, and as you're pulling through, the pot actually reattaches itself over here to the bat. So the point where the wire tool exits over here, it's still unattached. So when you pull the wire tool through, you want to lift from wherever direction the wire tool last came out. So in my case, that is over here. So I will just lean the pot forward just slightly, and then I'll be able to pick it up. And then you can set it down. I'd like to show you what this pot looks like cut in half. So you can see we've got relatively even thickness in walls. There's a little bit more weight down here, which is fine because you're going to need that to support the actual pot. And you can take this off in the next stage, which is trimming. But my hand position is such. My left hand is on the inside of the pot, at the floor of the pot. There's about 1/4 of an inch down here. My right hand is on the outside, all the way down at the bat. Now you'll notice that that offsets the fingers a little bit. You want that. Essentially what happens is when you start pressing in and moving up, you create this little wave, this little S curve. And that allows the clay to move up and become thinner. If you're just pinching together, you see that the clay tends to go bulge down and up. If you have this nice wave, you're really only letting it move upward.